Oh god, how do I play this game again? Press the buttons and things happen, right? What's that? What stores look like? A bunch of irrelevant stuff. I have these. And this time I will remember to use a trap vision and set safety first before something blows up on me. I hope. Let's just push buttons. Let's just punch buttons and see what happens. And as for what's up, well, not much. I mean, it's a mate day. Just gotta just make what we can of it, you know? Just make day. Oh, that was too close. Oh. I should set up an input display for this game at least. It's not really important. There's only like 10 buttons, so whatever. Displays are cool though, I'll do that next time. mean, I'm alive to see it, that's what matters. I mean, like, nothing's really happened. I mean, Lucille was pretty dog water, so I didn't really, like, do much with it. Maybe like 4 or 5 runs of Lucille today. I didn't even try plugging it. It was crit Ragnar. Wasn't even gonna mess with that. Crit day is usually really bad just because even if you do get like max crit damage, crit rate, the boss still has 20% damage resist on it regardless, so ending is only like 30% damage up effectively on a boss that bulky. It's nearly impossible to clear in pugs. And being forced to do like solo or like low player count is just bad. It feels bad. And it's not that difficult to get set up on FTP, it's just you need to know what you're doing. And that's nearly impossible to do with the fact that like every guide ever is just like outdated. Like even my own stuff's outdated right now. Oh, Storm has a saber. And now there's no telling if they're gonna leave Solus at 75 or not. Like they might buff Solus and Aegis to be 80. Like who knows? Oh, that's the wrong button. Thing is, like, your new player experience isn't really like accurate because you know what to do. I value the new player like insight of an actual new player. One of my friends began playing during the event, and she was talking about how like she didn't really know what she was doing, and she was just being carried by the event weapon. Like you just play the game and like it levels you, and then like next thing you know you're level 40 and you're using a plus 61 like 8-star weapon, and it literally just like the game wasn't built around that. The actual like main story campaign experience doesn't teach you anything that you need to know. So the story basically like elevates you to level 75-ish without any real direction on what you should be doing or how to actually get stronger. And that's how we end up with like all these people with complete nonsense equipment in Lucille runs. Tuesday. Dark Falls Aegis story quest should have like a Darlet mobbing section, and it should force you to use the mobile cannon. I really think it should have been like the entire encounter. Like the story should have like pointed you towards like augments that you should be using. I think items need to drop with like matching stats so people know what to like. And yeah, back at it again. It's Tower Tuesday, my dudes. It's Tower Tuesday. I wasn't here last Tuesday, I think, because I was probably walking. And I'd normally be walking right now, but it's that time of the day where... Oh god, I didn't share this story. I was like... maybe like 5 seconds away from just dying yesterday. Because I was walking, and like a part of it was like on the highway. And this guy was driving on the wrong side of the road. And he was just blasting forward in the wrong lane at like 50. And I just hear a horn blaring behind me as he's like blaring at the car in front of him. And he like swerves out of the way. And then he gets into like the right lane like shortly afterwards. And I'm like, oh, that sure happened like literally next to me. I got to where I was walking to. I bought some cans of energy drink and I walked home. I also called a family member and told them yesterday was an experience. It's literally the only reason I'm not out walking right now. I don't want to risk it again. Well, I'm here. And I didn't get hurt, no. But then I can count my blessings. Completely messed up actually. I can just like recount that story and say, oh yeah, I almost died, and just like kind of laugh it off. Because I've had time to laugh it off, but still. Oh god. I just live here, man. I just live here. Play some games. Having a fantastic time online, you know? Just having a great time. Playing some games, you know? Ooh, Lord help me. Not really? Like, when you use a photon art, you're locked into that, but you can, like, charge your stuff. If you, like, lock onto something, you can do, like, a single normal attack, but you can't combo. And that's how Gunblade, like, switches between, like, gun and, well, blade. When you lock on with the Gunblade, it changes your normal attack to, like, this, like, 3-shot, like, spread shot thing that you can shotgun with it, and some people say it's a glitch, apparently, that you can hit 3 times with a projectile attack that has 3 visible projectiles. I don't know, this game really is just like a better PSO1. Yeah, no, it's apparently a glitch that you can hit 3 times with 3 bullets. I keep talking about like a Gunblade glitch. I never like looked into it. I don't use Gunblades in this game because I'm not a ranger, so they're not bull smash, so I don't care. Well, you know, Gunblades are pretty good. Hi. Yeah, no, this game doesn't have devils. They didn't need to balance around devils. Well, the thing is, like, you don't care about the spread shot, you care about the fact that you can shotgun it and hit 3 times. But another thing about Gunblade is the way this game works is there's the one ATP set that both guns and melee weapons use. But they get around that by some enemies having range resist and some having melee resist, so it treats them like an element. So it usually ends up being like you'll use like melee weapons in some areas, and then you end up using like ranged weapons in others. I don't actually know how Gunblade works with that. Because that's just like talking about like the normal combo. I don't know how it functions for its like photon art. For mobbing, they have the Earth Bullet photon art, which is just like explosions in front of you. I'm pretty sure that's range damage. Like, the thing is, I have literally never used a Gunblade in this game. I have only played Force. So I can't actually say, like, how good they are. How was that in range? Your shift. Oh, what a joke. You just get 100 of them on humans, you get 80 of them on casts. And there's also a reset material that you can get for some like photon drops, so if you don't like your plan, you can just reset it. They also don't give base stats, so you can just do whatever you want. But HP materials and PP materials do count against the max, so using those does cut into like damage potential. If you care about that in a single player action RPG for the Nintendo DS. I mean, it does, but like, I don't think you really need to worry about max damage in those contexts. I couldn't ask a lot. Yo, Dynamo Spin, I'm gonna bust. Getting that movement in on this. Almost 99. I think I'm about due for another tower rare. With this. Of course it just drifts away. You'll be excited to learn that the answer is 0. It is still 0. You don't just like randomly come across 1 in 171,000 drops. This room is full of rabbits. I mean, it was full of rabbits. There's like, if there's even a single Psycho 1 in here, I will... See, like, there's a guard material. I didn't finish that sentence because karma's pretty funny. I don't want to have any depths over my head. Doesn't far up enough. Well, so that's kind of a thing that, we started getting, like, weapon series over time, because it started being, like, it started being bad when maybe, like, 4 or 5 weapons, like, 4 or 5 weapon types got a unique new weapon tier, and then the one you played didn't. So there were always the, like, generic sets that you could always, like, work on for your, like, main weapon. And then you'd have, like, the uniques for, like, the weird stuff. But then, like... I'm already on 10. Okay. I don't have my Photon Blast still. Oh. But then you started seeing, like, the consistent, like, craftable ones just to make sure that everyone had, like, the same options available to them. I mean, like, the weird options were nice and all, but sometimes the weird options were Bell Cloaker. Kaizar's a craftable. I don't care if you don't like it or not, Kaizar's a craftable. Vrishmel's is a craftable. What a mess. I hesitate to call Vrishmel's a craftable because you're just like, grabbing rocks, but I mean, that's apparently gameplay in some other games, so it's something you can slowly work on. Alright, Force Mother, what you got for me? What you got? Garbage, garbage. They're the bare minimum. The thing about them is I liked Kaizar a little bit more just because, like, you had to get a specific weapon from one place and then you had to get materials from another place. That was cool. But then, like, the whole no fixa thing. is pretty bad. Clawfest kind of has a similar thing going on, but if you're like psychotic. Like, yeah, I think people really were like jumping the gun by like putting like big ticket items on Rock's weapons within like a literal day of the year being out. Like, I think that was on them, but it was really dumb that it was an exchange and not a craft or an upgrade. And now, if you're just really weird, you can work on a you can work on getting like a Fixa Fatale Kuklofus weapon. It isn't even that bad because Kuklofus is still relevant for some content, but like... Oh god. Oh, I get to roll my armors again after me. Okay. Go for some armors that aren't garbage on presets after me. Pretty cool. Oh, Abraham, Mr. Lincoln. I miss craftables that came from like the PSO1 style, where it was like you got a material item and you used it on a non-rare item and it suddenly like changed shape or something. Like, like they should let us make like Prim Libra or something from like taking like a Prim weapon and then like smashing like a Libra enhancer or whatever. Like, let us do stuff like that. I just want to be able to like upgrade old weapons into like new ones that change what they do. Due to the design space of multi-weapon, we're not really gonna get like cool new things. But also, like, we've kind of been in this design space for ages because, like, it wasn't really until like people talk about how like PSO had like all these interesting items and create another hot end thing. And like statistically speaking, most of these people like talking about like Psycho Wand, Dark Flow, Spread Needle, Frozen, they never had one. Like Frozen Shooter, Spread Needle, like you'd eventually get one of those from playing, but like a lot of the people like talking about like Psycho Wand from like PSO, they never had one. Or at least they didn't have one that was like legitimate and not like hacked in. Like, it did, like, crazy stuff, because it had a 1 in, like, 200,000 drop rate. You weren't supposed to get one. Lava's Cannon did interesting things, because you weren't supposed to get it. It was a reward for getting it. And you have to, like, balance something doing interesting new things with availability. Because if it's too interesting and too strong, then it becomes mandatory. And if it's mandatory, it can't be rare. Like, Lava's Cannon was in episode 4. Like, Lava's Cannon was mandatory for Tector. Even when we had Atlas, like, bridging the gap, like, it still didn't hold a candle to Lava's Cannon. God forbid Eternal Psycho Drive, making Force playable. But another thing is that, oh, I forgot to use the chat vision. Another thing is just that we're in a live service game. Like, when you get a unique item in a live service game, it's eventually going to be power crept out from items needing to become stronger. Like, relic weapons, rugged back in Kavaris. You saw now, like, they all do stuff, but like, when's the last time someone like actually thought about a relic weapon like meta-wise? I also like don't really agree with a specific drop like changing how something completely plays like on a fundamental level, because I lived the Elysian days where back in like late episode 1, early to mid episode 2, if you didn't have an Elysian, you weren't a casting class. And that led to a lot of frustration. Because not only did you only have like one option for gear to be like viable, it locked you into like one playstyle. Kind of like Rykros staff did. Like you had to use Rykros. Yeah, like this is this is absolutely wanting something completely different out of it. Like at the end of the day, you can use these like really weird, like unique things. It's just that like it's kind of a fault of the developer for allowing them to exist and then turning around and saying, okay, now here's claws. This is your actual strongest weapon. Literally nothing else can outperform it. Like, I think that unique items should be able to compete or offer something. Like, offer something that makes you want to use it and justify using it. Kind of like orb weapons and orbit weapons did even. Like orb and dusk weapons. Even after you have like a claws weapon, you can still like go ahead and use orb and dusk all you want, because most of the content doesn't warrant worrying about like the power of claws. And after a point, like it doesn't matter how much damage you do to the enemy with 10,000 health, because like the difference between dealing 11,000 and 17,000 is that you still killed it in one hit. Or like, again, with like enemy with like 10,000 health, the difference in dealing 7,000 versus 8,000 damage is mechanically that enemy still takes 2 hits to kill. But then like, when you get to the enemy that has 100,000 health, that 7,000 versus 8,000 matters. That 10,000, that 17 to 19,000, that matters. But that's a lot of thought to like put into a game that kind of doesn't really have that high of a ceiling to an extent. And the things that do have a high ceiling are for weird, like, mechanical reasons, like endless quests. And endless quests are like 2 quests in the entire game. Everything else is just hee hee ha ha DPS check. Like, not any idiot can like pick up Luster then like go clear like Sodom 100 or Masquerade 999, but like after a point, like it does just kind of all blend together, and it's just a mastery of your existing moveset with your big, dumb, stupid stab move, you know? It kind of like loses all prestige because you're kind of doing like the same thing after a while. That's also kind of why I like the parkour kind of challenges we get in New Genesis way more. It's because like the end game technical challenges in other games just feel like they have like different skill sets. Like the parkour challenges in PSO2 and New Genesis are like the New Genesis ones are really interesting because you need to have like a different sort of execution to do something like Vanishing Path versus like most bosses just being like waiting on, just getting the right run and executing on that run. I like I think Endless is way more interesting to watch than basically any bossing video because after a point like a bossing is either just like the same attack for like 40 minutes if you're soloing like an urgent quest or I don't know like I just think the bossing is kind of like the weakest aspect at times, but I just like the mobbing content more because there's like routing that you do in it versus just like standing in front of a boss and waving a glow stick until it falls over. Did I? Oh god, did I? That's pretty funny. Like, every time I enter these rooms in Eternal Tower, like, I have to assess if it's like a dangerous room. And then after that, if it's a dangerous room, I have to assess how I'm going to, like, approach it. But anything else is just, like, waving a shield at it till it falls over. Like, every boss, like, bosses in this series after a point have been just, like, a spectacle. And it's fun, but like it's not like a lot of like depth to it after a point, especially after we got to like the counter attack meta. I'm not saying the game is like countering and you win. Like there is like a sort of like there's a sort of ceiling to it. It's just like every encounter just plays the same after a point. But then again, I say that just like using Bull Smash and Zero, so what do I know? Yeah, like, I don't play Phantasy Star to be like engaged in like the encounters, if that makes sense. It's a water cooler game for me. I just want to hang out, hit monsters, and get stuff and talk to people. Like all these games, they're not meant to be like deep and complex. It's just something you play while like slamming back a couple of cold ones with the fellas. If my seltzer cans were closer, I'd have like cracked one open for the bit, but it's all about just laughing at weird stuff. Like, I wasn't farming chainsawed for like 5 hours straight every day with one of my friends because I thought it was engaging. We just wanted a chainsawed. Yeah, basically, like, get really good at your weapon. Oh, not so bad. You just get like really good at your weapon, and then like increase the numbers on your stuff, and then get bigger numbers. I love Wave Crash. I love Wave Crash. It's such a good. It feels like a hunter photo. It feels like something you'd expect out of Sword. Wand plays like a hunter weapon, I swear to God. I love how Wand has gone from this like magical girl like stick to just a club that you beat things with. Like, Fantasy Star Online Wand was like a magical girl stick you like wave around like a little like conductor baton. And then like every game it's been in until PSO2 has just been like some degree of like dainty magical girl weapon. And then like you started beating people with it on Tector. And Etoile kind of brought back the like floaty magical girl wand kind of aesthetic. And then Tector just went, nah, I'm gonna be more violent. I'm gonna be a problem. And they gave us Wave Crash of all things. God, I hope Grand Dreadkeeper is good. I want to have a bulky Tector set. I really do. I want to be bulky on Tector. Dive into a pile of Malevolence and just go buck wild. I want to see is going to be in like 6 hours though, because they mentioned there'd be another floating island appearing over Roma Quad, and now like it can't just be another like Lucille. Unless they're just like dropping another like Arcs Bakes like in orbit over Retem. Is it gonna be like a Starless thing or what? Like they did everything they could to not show it. Boy, 2 Renjis, I'm not picking those up. And cycle one now, huh? This is a reflect robe. That's a die grinder. It's going to appear over McQuad after maintenance. Like, literally over maintenance. Like, it's going to be there. Not another quest for it, but, like, it's going to be there. We're also getting, rank 3 mining rig in Rotem, which is going to have, like, starless enemies, which is going to be really funny. Because assuming it plays out the exact same way, all that needs to be done is, like, see how Ragnaros, like, changes going into rank 3. So because it's been shown in trailers, Starless Ragnaros has actually been, like, in the files ever since, like, Lucille. And I made jokes saying, what if it appears, guys, what if it appears, but it never did. So I just never mentioned it. But, like, it's shown and it's dropping, like, with Rig, so I'm gonna, like, talk about it, kind of. I'm not gonna, like, say its name or anything, but it's been in the files for quite a while. I don't think it's gonna be that bad unless they, like, change the wave structure. But I also say this, like wave 1 is whatever, wave 2 is whatever. Wave 3 had the equalizer brancals, wave 4 was like the boss. Then wave 5 had the Stragras, and then wave 6 had the equalizers, and then, like, the mounted Stragras. Assuming that it goes like that, it shouldn't be that bad, but there's a non-zero chance it could have an entirely new layout. Like, just replacing the dots with arms changes the dynamic of the quest, because arms can move. Changing out the dots to be, like, the Starless Remotus changes the quest, because they deal, like, more direct damage. But the most important thing is that the mining rig health was a parabola, and the overall mining rig HP has been going down with levels, which is why we didn't, like, get anything above 65 with it. They just kept getting frailer, so unless they change the scaling again, the rig health is going to be close to, like, level 40, I want to say? 35, 40-ish? Which I probably don't need to tell you is a bad thing. The worst thing about Rig Wave 3, though, or Rank 3, is that I have to wait until the enemy is released to say what its name is, and I keep wanting to call it by name. But its name is really cool. I keep wanting to call it by name. Okay. I run 3 wards because of arms. I mean, that never cheat, but like 3 wards makes you not get inflicted by wound. So you can take a hit from Malevolent, Potency de la Seal, and not just get murdered. What I understand, they inflict wound and then the damage is calculated. So if you take the hit normally, but you don't take the hit with wound, then the hit is just lethal. I guess if you're a sick person, you can run like 3 Sestato variants, but like, God, that damage loss is so much. I wouldn't want. It doesn't have fractional damage, but it does round. Um, there's decimal PP. There is decimal PP. And you can have like PP costs in decimal. But HP is only in like whole numbers. Damage dealt is in whole numbers. I'm not sure if status damage is in... Status damage might be decimal as well. But I don't know how far it, like... Oh, I don't know how well it, like, reduces over time. So... I just only care about the whole number aspect of it. Yo, trash, 7-star armor, let's go. Everything in damage calculation gets rounded at the very end. Base attack and defense, always a whole number. But there is like decimal damage until you get to like the last step where it rounds, and it rounds up or down based on like normal round. And it's also like a floating point, so if you ever deal 0.5 exactly, it just sometimes swings up and sometimes swings down. How often this occurs, I don't know, but it can occur. And that's why I use her schmells. God, actually... I want to know if there's any way I can get my damage to be like exactly 0.5 on a Schmells, so I could watch floating point nonsense happen. Have it have variable damage range. That would cause an aneurysm. Already on 20. Wait, what? They dropped PB? They were in chain with me and then they dropped PB. I was waiting on that stupid NPC to actually do his job and chain with me. I was only 24, so it doesn't matter, but like, that's annoying. What's in the box? Oh, it's an element, it's like a start. Level 1. I have to be really careful when selling things in this stupid game, because nothing can be locked. Absolute nightmare game. Need to check the fish. See if anything interesting has been posted. Nope. Not gonna be any post till 11. Usually when everything spicy happens. I'm just gonna put. Yeah, I don't use it. Roll 95% flea mechanic. I could just walk past it if you wanted to, and I probably should. It's just no drops. Get that trash out of my inventory. What have you been? And that's all. The thing that I was sent. I just want to play video games. Who knows? Who knows? I might be having drop frames. You never know. You never know. Okay, no, I could just be silly. That's okay, because there's gonna be a wand right in here. Okay, maybe I lied a little bit. I lied. We tell a little fib every now and then. Oh. That's unpleasant. I sometimes consider, like, using Twitch again. Because then I wouldn't have to make thumbnails. Like, because this really is just all, like, recreational for me. I could go back to just using Twitch. I don't know. I'm just streaming. I use Twitch, I hate making thumbnails. So it's like, once you make a thumbnail, like, that's it. That's all you're doing. And if you wanted to, like, variety things, like, do, like, multiple things in one session, you have to... Oh god, it was chaotic. We basically... It's basically, like, a lot of the setup window is, like, on Geoff's side. And he didn't use, like, any of the setup window actually setting up. This is going to be more like a podcast kind of thing. We're going to be changing the format a little bit next time to just, like, focus on, like, the trailers in the headline. And then talk about certain parts of it on, like, our own pacing, rather than having to follow the headline's pacing. Since we're not an official thing, then we don't really have to worry about trying to match Headline Plus's format, any stuff like that. But, like, it's getting there. It's getting there. Assuming nothing, like, psychotic happens in, like, the next couple of weeks. Like, assuming that, like, the server doesn't get, like, DDoSed and like taken out forever or something. Yeah, it's gonna be more like a sort of like weekly podcast, or not weekly. It's gonna be like a monthly podcast kind of thing. Ship 2 gets deleted. Bro, what if they delete Ship 2? Then where am I gonna threaten to move to? Ship 4? I don't want, like... Those ships are so small. Like, they have a population you can play, but like, everyone knows each other there. It's one of those things where like, it feels like it'd be hard to break in if like people, if like one person there doesn't like you, no one there is gonna like you, I'm pretty sure. Impact 0? What the heck is Impact 0? Ship 4 is like... It's there. It's kind of like the... It's not quite a hermit ship. I think Ship 3 is a little bit more hermit. But Ship 4 is kind of like a smaller, like, more social thing, but that's just because, like, both it and Ship 3 are just so much smaller that... So, like, things... I don't know anything about Ship 3 because I've never heard anything good about it. I know that Ship 3 has a lot of, like, cosplayers and NPC doppelgangers, but... I've heard of them in, like, questionable kind of ways. It's, like, really cliquey there. But I don't know if I'm only hearing, like, the bad things or not. So I can't make an actual judgment without, like, playing there. And I don't want to, like, spend the money. Does that make sense? Like, literally all of my stuff is on Ship 1. And I don't want to, like, spend that money on, like, a traveling alt or whatever. Like its own gear set, just moving it around every now and then. Oh! Rare enemies. Ah, nothing rare, whatever. That's kind of concerning to hear. It's like, when I hear that people are polite in public but it's cliquey, that usually means that, like... That usually means that people will be, like, talking about you behind your back. I don't know. can't really like again, like I can't judge because I haven't been there. I never heard anything good, but all the stuff that I heard was like ancient. So I can't give a fair assessment. I can't give a fair assessment. That's my take on Ship 3. That's my take on Ship 4. And my take on Ship 2 is really narrow because I only know like a very, very small handful of players there. Because they happen to be the ones on like one of the communities I'm in. Where I'm like, hey guys, this is math. And then I like curse them with like an Amogus or something. If ship transfers were instant, I would like to do like a ship like world tour and just like visit people. But I'd need to make like a second gear set for it and all that stuff. When did I get another Ascalon? Oh, that would be like $21 to like visit every shop. And then 28 to come back to one. Annoying. No. I just know we don't need ships 5 nor 6 because like at that point what would they be? The quarantines? The hermit ships for the antisocial hermits? I know there is Legas, but I don't know. I don't even remember ship names. The only ship name I remember is Ship 4 Answer because that was my ship on GP. That's literally the only reason I remember it. When I start trying to think of like other ship names, I immediately think of Fodra, and that's wrong because that's on a Finia PSO. Ship 5 is assault. You literally cannot multiplayer. Every area is 1 out of 1. Even Central City. Ship 6 is the hardcore Iron Man server. If you die, your character gets deleted. God. So one day you wake up, your account can't log back in until you like pass like the entire main story test again. No player shops. And no player shops. No skate dolls, no half dolls, no cash shop, nothing. No premium set, nothing. If you're on ship 6, it's for the hardcore Iron Man experience. Challenge mode ship for NGS. I want a shared ship again. Like a shared ship for like Lucille pugging, or just like Lucille gameplay. Like Lucille and triggers. That's what it'd be for. Lucille and triggers. I mean, like, we've already seen, like, a lot of the potential in New Genesis from, like, the Lucille sectors. Like, we've seen the potential of static spawn points. We just need to continue capitalizing on that potential. And, like, the game is going in a good direction. We're just kind of dealing with, like... We're dealing with growing pains again, I think. It's definitely growing pains because people are coming back to the game. And when you have more people coming back to the game, you have more people being bad at the game. And then people being like willfully ignorant and stuff like that. So it's about channeling out noise. I think we also kind of need to get rid of the like ship kind of identity kind of clique thing. Because like it is a deja vu kind of thing. I do get anxious saying it, but like a lot of the issues I have with New Genesis right now are just people, and we don't have like enough like yeah like I think the biggest thing is like just like the Sega GP moderation style doesn't work on a global like how we misbehave here. Because a lot of like players on our side, if they're not like punished immediately for their actions, they think it's fine. And we end up getting like monthly like ban waves and stuff rather than like immediate action. How it's all set up. And at that point it's too late. But if we're gonna do a ship merger, can we at least get like ship 4 on ship 1 and not ship 3? Ship 2 can have ship 3. I'm sorry. Ship 4 is like every other like person I know. Yeah, like no, like this is not a PSO issue. Like do I need like the Final Fantasy billboard was a thing that happened, and that was entirely like a Western thing. Like that. What else? I really like the Final Fantasy billboard happened. What's this? Life? The best for only the best, baby. But yeah, like, we joke about the Final Fantasy billboard, but like, a new Genesis one absolutely would have happened if it was more popular at the time. And it would have been so much worse. I mean, we've seen how some people have their characters be. Like, yeah, it's just like accountability. We need like immediate moderation and not like slow moderation. Like, look at symbol alerts. How symbol alerts had to be like entirely disabled for like 2 months. Yeah, no, I hate it when stuff gets to that, because after a point, when there's not like trust between the players and like the staff, then you can't really have like a healthy community. People need to trust that bad behavior has its consequences. And they need to trust that when someone is doing something blatantly bad, that something is going to be done about it. And, like, people talk about leeching and stuff, but if people got, like, smacked, like, the first or second time they tried doing it with, like, a temporary ban, just immediately, people wouldn't keep doing it. And it wouldn't be a widespread problem where you enter, like, an instance and then there's, like, three people just standing in spawn waiting for their loot. People did this because they didn't get punished for it. Like, the other side of the coin is, like, if you have to keep doing if it looks like you have to do drastic stuff before, like, moderators act, then it makes it look like the moderators are, like, really weak and wimpy and they bend to people's wills when things happen. It's a really delicate kind of situation that doesn't have an easy answer. Especially because, like, this isn't a private server, this is the official server. So, people that moderate here, because it's for, like, an official thing, they need to have credentials, basically. They have to be, like, hired to do it. Because you're not gonna, like, moderate something like this literally for free. Not for, like, more than, like, a month. Because, like, after that point, like, it turns into an actual, like, job. I mean, I've also been on, like, I've been on the, oh, you're such an abusive mod, like, side of the discussion before. I mean, I moderated Super Mario forums in the past. We were all teenagers. Yeah, like, we absolutely need, like, a live ops team to just, like, be there. Because I guarantee you that if we had, like, 2 or 3 people, like, per ship, which is, like, the GM flag over their hand, the lobbies would not be nearly as toxic. A lot of people just talk about the stuff that they talk about in lobby because they know they can get away with it. And, like, the moment that, you know, there's a looming consequence. Yeah, like a scarecrow. Another issue is, like, again, with, like, the volume, like, time measurement. Who is going, like, someone that, like, says offensive things isn't going to remember, like, every offensive thing they've said. Or, like, what was, like, genuinely offensive. Like, some guy, like, throwing out, like, random slurs every, like, couple, like, months compared to just, like, trolling. They're not gonna remember a random offhanded comment from, like, 3 weeks ago when they finally get banned. Like, 2 days. Like, there was this guy in Ship 1 who would just start, like, swearing about world leaders and, like, calling, like, specific world leaders, like, bad people or whatever, and, like, they just got, like, randomly chat banned one day, and they don't know if it was, like, over, like, being offensive about world leaders, or if they said something that was, like, genuinely bad. Because it happened after they were, like, making jokes about, like, the guillotine and stuff. Like, was it the world leaders thing? Probably. But it could have been something they said 2 to 3 weeks ago and was only just now reported on. Things need to be instant. Because otherwise, people just won't know. What do I know? I'm playing Phantasy Star Zero and using Bull Smash. Let's see if... Oh, 10-11 update detail. Webcomic Central, episode 101 available. Launching payments with Razor Gold in certain... Because Razor Gold. Oh, it's overseas things. Okay, and that's interesting. Classes. Oh, the DPS things. Okay. Specifications of the Assault Rifle PA homing darts and the Launcher PA Fear Eraser have been changed so that even if the player releases the button immediately after activation, the player can then continue into a long press if the button is pressed again. That's interesting. No! No! The specifications of special armaments have been changed so that their potency varies depending on the player's battle power. In the over-the-shoulder view, specifications have been changed. It is no longer possible to target an enemy that is further away than the maximum lock-on distance. A floating terrain has been added to the Rome Quad exploration sector. At the Barriagle fence that appears in Lucille Exploration, the distance at which the core target becomes a lock-on enable... Why? Now displaying an alliance points on the alliance status screen. And spaces alliance. The probability of preset skills being granted to weapons of rarity 8 or lower when they are dropped has been revised upwards. Okay. Drop items have been added for the following. Malevolent Nex Alio? That's literally only in Alio Devastators. Idle Axe, Sword. Oh! We finally get Nadara concerts globally, even without being in town. Okay, okay. Okay, I'm vibing with that. That's interesting. This is certainly some stuff that I guess, but I'm just gonna play zero because like that's what's up. I'm just confused. I don't think I like that battle power change for the potency thing because like until now that oh god that means if you're using a weaker weapon, if you're using an elemental weapon, your battle power is going to be lower. So your damage... That's horrible. That's a horrible change. Oh god, it's for the Halloween quest. A horrible change. Like it's bad enough that your damage goes down if your armors aren't plus 70. Your damage is reliant on having 8-star armors now instead of 7. So dumb. God, doesn't Mastery 4 give more battle power than Mastery LC? You have to actually use Mastery 4 instead of Mastery LC on the Potency 4 setup. And you have to do it on... You have to do it on an 8-star item, and you have to have a 9-star weapon. You have to potential your beat stick. That's such a weird change. Such a weird change. To be able to calculate it because we have a mobile cannon calculator. You literally just have to open up like any quest as a mobile cannon and max out our potency floor and then like change our battle power around, see how it affects it. It's so bizarre. What is the goal of this change? I should have changed weapon for this guy. This spell was like really resistant to melee attacks. I should have changed weapon. Don't understand. It's not just plus 70, it's plus 70 8-star units. You have to 8-star your units. And plus 70 them. Like, this actually killed Eptes. Or, like, this actually killed, like, the full PP armor. Isn't Eptes? Yeah, like... You have to spend skill points! I have skill points that I haven't, like, set on some classes because, like, I don't need them set. And I have to set them. That's so dumb! This is such an unwarranted change. It doesn't do anything. It should piss me off. That is literally all this change has done. It just pissed me off. It's maddening. I don't... Such a dumb change. Completely blank Rouge Pulse. Okay. I need to... Such a bizarre change. It might be, like, at certain thresholds, like how level was, but... kind of, like, need to see the numbers, but it's such a weird change. I don't understand why. Specifically why. If it's by like threshold, then maybe? But we're gonna be able to break 4,000 now anyway. Yeah, like, so... that's gonna be a thing. Actually, is this the up? No, is this the update? Because they didn't mention the discontinuation of Venice for Tam and whatnot. But this might not be the week with it. Week might just be like dread farming. I'll save judgment for when we actually know specifically how it works. Because right now, the way it works is still pretty dumb. Because it's just like you cross a level threshold and it goes from like 100 to 200%. So if it's more like a sliding scale, then whatever. Go look over the trailer again and see if Rig was this or next week. If it's not this week, I kind of like don't care. I'm kind of tired of like lying to myself. It's this week. Alright. They just didn't. Banned Chariot? Blink. Legitimate question. Yeah, no, it's today. He didn't even mention. I forgot to use the trap vision. I'm on fire. Let's fix that. Keep forgetting. I keep forgetting. Very annoying. Very annoying. I guess we'll see what's going on, Wait, you have mobbing content coming up. I have to actually have a Talus again. I have to play Force again. I get to finally dust my Force character off and lament that they don't. I can just make a new version of this weapon. It doesn't matter for like battle power, so I can just. I might just do like one more boss and then go nap, but I might need to be like on the ball for like hour 0. Especially because they mention like lower rarity items having higher preset drop rates. That's a really big deal for Neos Astraean. Because like if that applies to Solace as well, then that means that like every Neos Astraean drop at Solace might be preset. Like we need to check if Solace is still 75. We need to check if Dark Falls are still 75. Because there's never been a point in time where we've been higher level than Aegis has been. That's like... that matters a lot. Actually, I understand why they had it scale off battle power now. That way, if it's just like a single formula, they don't have to keep adding like conditions to the flat potency bar. I understand why they did it, but it's still like kinda dumb. Really dumb. I don't think $33. More boss sounds. Boss, then. Because some of the stuff I've seen, I think I want to be awake on the first hour. Rested awake, not like shambling zombie awake. Bro, the hunter just got bodied by the fruiting. Yeah, they mentioned rank 3 would have different music, so it's still up in the air if it's going to be like a different like layout, or if it's just like a remix of the theme, because it's harder. It might be harder anyway because of the whole parabola thing. Like, it's gonna be on the same map. It's gonna be the same, like, general, like, map layout. But, like, if it's like just a starless Fortos instead of, like, a Fortos laser, then whatever. But all the enemies we've seen, like, starless for Ratan are enemies that have, like, starless forms. Like, like 10 minutes. Like, you need to just run it like twice, and you know like the key points thing. But I also like I record defense missions, and like I go over them to find like consistencies, and then I like plot them out from there. I'm just kind of hoping my Vatem rig video isn't like long after this, because once upon a time I did make like new Genesis like guides and stuff that I thought just didn't exist, and now like I was like, oh, I'm gonna do gear overviews, and then Neasa Strand happened and it dumpstered like literally every weapon, so I didn't want to make new gear videos because it was always just, okay, yeah, it's worse than Neasa Strand, so just keep using your Neasa Strand. It felt bad. It felt really bad. Like, planning on making content, and then, like, the content you plan on making is just, like, literally made irrelevant. I tried doing it for, like, Trunkle, and then it was like, it's just worse than this. Yes! It was so bad. I need to make like an actual like gun. Your CV Trunkle that you had to limit break it anyway. You couldn't even take advantage of the fact that like God, this is back when Mastery 4 was rare and you couldn't just transfer it, so you had to put Mastery on it anyway. And like after Trunkle happened, we had Revita, which was just... It was worse than Neas Australian. You have a Termina 5 for Schmel's weapon. And just... I'm gonna throttle you, I swear to God. I don't... You literally played Double Saber. Like, you were gifted a Termina 5 for Schmel's Saber. And you're like, no, I'm gonna... And you're like, no, I'm gonna play Gunner. You wanted Concert Master because of the Double Saber camo. And now you're just... Yeah, those weapons would have been awesome, except, like, Neas Strand just, like, dumpstered them. Because they would have been awesome 7 stars, I think. Entire problem with, like, their existence wasn't that they were weaker than Neas Strand. It was that they were weaker and they had the same exact cost to upgrade. If it did not cost, like, the materials that it costed to upgrade those weapons, then I could have recommended them. But I can't. Can we talk about how, like, 8 stars didn't do the, like, rugged or relic thing? And then we got Tessa doing the rugged and relic thing? Rugged and relic thing is so bad for builds because, like, if your class just has a bad one, then you're just screwed. Like, you can't... Like, if you wanted... Like Braver gets, like, the crit to saw handed to them. And then, like, if you play Bouncer, you have to deal with, like, the barrier one. But then, like, if you want a crit to saw on, like, Fighter, you have to give up one of your weapons when, like, the game is balanced around you having, like, 2 of your weapons on your toolkit at this point to, like, go as fast as you can. And then classes like Waker and Slayer get to get away with, like, cheating potentials onto their multi-weapon because they don't have to worry about a second weapon. Outside of, like, really, really, really weird cases like Baker Bouncer using, like, Jet Boot, but we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. It's just... it's weird. Like... the easiest way to not have fun with this game is to, like, take it seriously. The moment you start taking New Genesis, like, super seriously, like, it just starts falling apart in the most glorious kind of ways. They're, like, trying to balance it in ways that don't, like, work. Well, I mean, when I've had like bipolar moments, I've genuinely had moments where I've kind of given up at times because like this game, it doesn't really reward effort sometimes. Like after a point, you really do just get like diminishing returns on your effort. Like if you're like grinding Solace, you only get Naeus Strain and Starl Souls, and like that that helps you make like Gladia Souls, but if you're grinding Solace to that degree, do you need Gladia Souls? Like if you're like farming the limited time quest where it's like a score rush quest, it literally doesn't matter how hard you try because outside of like the good rate of getting like Tasa from them, relatively, because it was like all like gold bosses and stuff. After a point, you're just working really hard for same drops. Whereas in like the older titles, like when you got stronger, you would clear rooms faster, and then if you were like repeating something, then it mattered. You know, that was the difference between like 100 Volmers in half an hour versus like 100 Volmers in like 10 minutes, you know? But here it's like the difference between one Dark Falls Aegis on the urgent quest and like 35 minutes on a bad run versus the one run that's like 14 minutes. Like after a point, you just don't like your time is valuable, but what to do with all that time you saved? Go back to the lobby doing nothing? Watch YouTube videos? Like, if you're not actively farming, or like going back to the score rush quests again, like they're always going to be 5 minutes, so nothing you do is going to speed it up, and no amount of like you can't guarantee something after a bunch of kills in them. So I understand why people would just like, I got a goof swatter. This thing is a saber. Lord knows we need a juice swatter. I really like how we literally just had like one of those, like that meme format where it's like nothing in life is fair, there's nothing but darkness. Oh my god, goof swatter. That literally just happened. Oh goodness. Goof swatter is like 1 in 4,000, I think. I don't remember. I know it's on like the drop charts, and I don't feel like looking them up right now. But yeah, as I was saying, like after a point, like especially in like auto scroller content, like the score rush quests, it really didn't matter because Yeah, you got more like boss kills in if you were like trying, but everything that like people cared about was like the LC capsules, the growth mint, and like the octo armors and stuff, and those are quest related drops, not enemy drops. Like the difference between like killing 3 bosses and killing like 10 bosses was just experience for a large majority of players. Not everyone got to saw weapons. It was the best farm for them, but they weren't guaranteed. And that sort of like vacuum in the like that sort of like vacuum in the like effort to reward threshold is why like grinding these games can get like really tedious. Because like in Lucille exploration, there's a tangible reward for actually like defeating the boss at the end because you see more drops come. Like there's a tangible reward for getting stronger and getting like that consistent. You see more drop slots. And even though like the enemies in Lucille exploration itself have like their own like loot pool and you can get things like reverse smells and stuff from like the quest drops as well at the end. The actual enemies, like you don't get like Giga Strugments, you don't get like a Giga Capsule from the dude that shows up halfway in. You don't get any of that. The only reward like scale is defeating end boss compared to only dealing like 50%. I think that's kind of why I care so much about my Lucille pugs. Like, I can put up like a mediocre Dark Falls Aegis pug all day because the only thing they're costing me is like maybe like 10 minutes of my life. Like at worst. And like even then, like when runs like that start going bad, like people just leave. And then I have less boss to chew through. But then like there's a bad Lucille pug, then my drops are worse. Compared to a bad Dark Falls Aegis from like the one Dark Falls Aegis I'm going to run. Or getting like a bad pug and the limited time quest, like I still remember the Christia quest where I saw some guy going AFK and he did it after I was like the consistent points leader and he couldn't race me, and he told me, why does it matter? Getting first doesn't give you a ticket. Like there wasn't an incentive for him to play better because he wasn't being rewarded for playing better. And this all just kind of like cycles back to something that I remember back during captain farming. Players of this genre are like very reward driven. They, like, if you're not getting rewarded for the gameplay loop, then you're going to find ways to like get your stuff with as minimal effort as you can. Like people doing like Kaizar and then like leeching captain and stuff. Like they weren't getting better drops running around looking for captain rooms when there were like maybe 6 or 7 different people also doing it. Just wait for one of them. And then like no one would notice that they were there, but they weren't posting any like rooms because there were so many people doing it. Yeah, like it's just an issue with like looters in general. Like you can only like do this genre so many times before you can't really innovate on it anymore. Like how are you going to innovate on, like, even this game, even this game's looting system? You just can't really. Like, after a point, you can't do anything like new, and people will just go back to playing older games or only like doing the bare minimum in the newer games because they'd rather do something else that they deem to be rewarding. Like the people like not wanting to run Solace because they thought the rewards were bad. Which, I mean, like, honestly, kind of, but... I mean, even then, like, after a point, there has to be, like, a tangible reward for getting good. Like, take Divide Quests. People love to talk about Divide Quests. The reward structure in those was you either go for the life route, and, like, your final stage is safer, but you don't get as many, like, clear rewards, or you go all in on, like, the point route, and you get more, like, super boxes at the end. After a point, you start wanting to get more of those boxes because that's where you got things like the recolor for like Jupiter Plus and like the elemental like rod and stuff like that. Well, yeah, I don't know what its camo version was called, but like that's how you got certain things. So, like after a certain point, you have to get like better at the game and more consistent to get more reward items. Like that's there in the intended loop. But like the closest we ever had to that was like we have Trinitas, which gives you like rewards based on your like score. But there's no difference between like a minimum S rank and a near maximum S rank that matters. Because getting like more Tria capsules, oh boy, you know? Unless they're gonna like Trias be used in Grand Dreadkeeper or something? Or give us like Super Speemel 2 or whatever? Super Speed Trippable or whatever? Like, who knows? Yeah, like, I just wish that like better players were actually like rewarded, I guess, for being better players. I know it's like a hot take these days, but like, if someone's like slamming back a Solace every 10 minutes, then they should be getting a little bit more than a single Starl Soul. Look at Addy. Dude ran like duo Solace for like multiple days straight. Possibly like a month straight on the duo Solace World Tour. And he just has like a pile of Starl Soul. And then like he has a Fatal 5 Neas Astraean wand, I guess. I don't know if that like matters to them though. I don't think fish use wands. Dual reward structure's alright, yeah. Like, I'd like it if there was more than just like Mastery 4. But like, then we get into the problem where it's like, Oh, hee hee ha ha. Oh, what's that? You made really strong gear for general use? You wanna make these dual augments that you can't even say the names of? It's just after a point though with like this game, if you after a point when you like make a new drop system, you're just like you've reinvented Diablo or you've reinvented like Fantasy Star Zero or you've reinvented Fantasy Star Portable. Sometimes you just recreated Dark Nemesis. His name is Dark Nemesis. Oh, please have good stats. Dark level 4. Dark Nemesis. What a treat. What a treat to end on. I don't know, man. I just kind of miss like enemies having like specific drops to that enemy, and not just like area drops because I don't know. Doing something like that means we'd have to have like specific like drop quests, like specific stuff, and a special weapon used by the king of comedy. I need to save that. It's pretty funny. The band multiple. Where's Megan 15? Lord. I feel like Fixa could have been a made Fixa good. And that became like mandatory. We'll see in a few hours. Like if lower tier items have a good Fixa rate, then that's fine. Sure hope they gave Kaizar a really good rate for getting that. I hope that. I hope that happened. Isn't it sad, Kaizar? Is anything funny in here? Oh, it's Harrison. A special weapon favored by those known as comedic clowns. It has an element? $45 native. There's celeb elements in there. There's some other time. Okay, well, I'll see whoever in like 4. I stream again. You don't really have people streaming at like 4 in the morning. Like, I might go for it. Morning should be like a less cursed time. I'm going to punch this button right and bye.